All right. So for those of you who missed what was going on, we literally have no idea what we were talking about. The connection cut out. We essentially broke up. We're back together, guys. Our relationship is back on board and
back on deck.
I don't know what's happening. It's our buzzing energy. Sometimes that happens with certain people. It's really like
happens to me all the time.
So,
so it's me. I'm sure. Together, it's happening. Yeah.
So if we keep the ball rolling, I feel like usually I ask, I guess, who your teachers are in life. I know that, you know, they can change a lot from growing up to being people that you actually learn from, or they can just be friends and family. If you would like to speak to that, please do. I would love to hear who have stayed your teachers throughout your life and like who you actually keep around you to learn off and aspire to have qualities like.
It's a big one, isn't it? Everything's a teacher. You know, I have a really hard time with that isolation because all of the experiences in my life have been such a teacher. I've learned and grown so much through my pain and sadness. They're my greatest teachers. Those moments when I was my lowest as my teacher, and that could have been for a multitude of people, but it was the experience that they facilitated that was the teacher itself. They were just messengers to take me there. But obviously my mom is an amazing teacher. I grew up from the moment I was born. She was diagnosed and had electric shock therapy, had diagnosed with schizophrenia, always has been isolated, was a single mom when no one else was a single mom. She was doing yoga. She was a hippie, kind of going against the grain, you know, and that's who I was around, for good or for bad. She is still on her own, you know, and she still lives in her darkness, but my God, anyone else would not be here. Like there's a strength in her that I hope I carry the torch further for her, because she's a beautiful soul. She's, mental illness has darkness, but I have a very strong belief, and maybe a lot of people will be maybe triggered by me even saying it, but it's this, I feel mental illness are people that are really bright lights in this world that don't have the teacher to guide them through their gifts. And I really feel strongly about that with her. I think she was always quite a sensitive empath, and it's just unfortunately gone to a dark place, but she's so beautiful woman inside and out, and she was a beautiful mother to me, given all of the variables. So I'm so grateful for her. And my father, although wasn't really that present, he has always been a stable force. He never left us. He just wasn't physically always there. You know, he was there the best that he could. My grandparents are great teachers for me. They picked up the slack in my life, and they were the ones that brought me nature. For 3 months of the year, I'd live with them in cottage country in Canada, and I actually think that saved my soul, you know. And I can't actually articulate how much I love my grandparents. They are a part of my soul that, you know, I've lost my grandfather now, but my grandmother's 97. She's still alive, and she is just a beacon of love. And her smile and her drive is just what I would like to hopefully people would see in me, that's always loving and caring and giving, you know, and not asking for much in return. So I really appreciate that. My children are a big teacher. To have them was a massive teaching for my husband and I. I think we learned a lot. We had to push against a lot to have them. It wasn't easy to have children in this life for me. I actually knew that was going to be the case, which doesn't make it easier knowing. 10 years till they came into my arms. And so they teach me because they're the biggest reflections of you, you know, they're just pure love. And I realize how much we just want to control their light, you know, as parents. And we all do it for our own reasons. We're tired. We have things to do. They need to get going. All these, you know, mask upon mask about things, but they're teaching me that they're big and they're bold and they've got full power, you know, and they're teaching me to learn not to have to compress to love. Love is expansive, you know, and I think we all have our own way of compressing love, you know, and it's not intentional, and it's not like it's not a mindful thing for me, but I think I realized I clung to love the most of my life because I felt like it wasn't in my heart. It wasn't easy for me. I was married before, that was a disaster, but it taught me a lot. So there's another person that was a teacher, was my ex-husband. Through a lot of pain and a lot of isolation on my own, I woke up to another level of myself. So I'm really grateful. But like, wow, those kids, they've taught me, don't cling to me, because if you cling, then I'm going to push back. And so the more space you give them, the more they can be themselves. And I'm not saying it's easy. And there's days where, I'm tearing my hair out, like every parent out there. To be a homeowner and a spiritual being is not an easy balance. Absolutely. Householder, it's challenging. But yeah, they're
I
amazing
love
teachers. I have, yeah.
I just love
Yeah.
that
And
all of your
sorry.
teachers are really close to home for you. They're personal, and that's something that I resonate lots with, and I'll let you keep going. You've got the old mate unstable internet. No, what's happening?
It's so crazy. We're back. I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know where we obviously my other teacher is the only yoga teacher in my life, and I've had many that touched my heart, was Yoga Rupa. Is the only practice that literally I felt something greater than myself. And so for me, he will always hold a very special place because he allowed me to start to evolve at a greater degree than I was. So I think I really owe a lot to the tradition that he's a part of, and his teachers and all of that. So they're great teachers for sure. And then I guess finally, just every person that I teach is my teacher.
Best answer
in that moment,
I've heard so far. And that's not a comparison thing. I just think it probably speaks to my soul closely. So it feels like, that 100% resonates with kind of how I would like to answer that when I embody half the wisdom that you do. And that's really just, it's so beautiful when you can see each person that comes into your life as a blessing, and especially the challenging ones, holding them close to your heart and going, what are you teaching me? And what am I seeing in you that I've disconnected with myself? And how can I love you more? And that is something that's, it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just kind of go, I'm the best at that. It's a practice. And like anything, we call yoga whatever we call it, but that for me, it's a practice about how I live and how I apply those values to my life. It's not just about the movements, but it's how we actually embody what we're learning off the mat. Even when we're like, you can practice it on the mat, but you do those bits there, so it's easier to transition when you leave the mat to kind of go, like, how can I bring that into my interactions? How can I bring that into my cooking? How can I bring that into how I treat my kids and my family? And, if there isn't a matching there, like if you're a saint on your mat and you're like the best practitioner there, and then you're being horrible outside of that, it's that incongruency that I have never resonated with. And that's why I hardly went to yoga studios. And then was fortunate enough to take Yoga Rupa's training, which enabled me to develop a home practice that actually felt sustaining and nourishing. Like, I tried doing home practices before, but what I found was, being so pitta, I was like, I need a structure, and I don't know how I can do that in a way that's not going to destroy me, but also that I can see is benefiting me, and I understand why you've sequenced it in this way. Because he references a lot of teachers, like so many teachers don't really know how they're structuring a class, and he calls them the brown classes, where it's a mishmash of twists, forward folds, all of this. And it's like, we can be intuitive in our flow, but ultimately having an outcome like based on the meditation that we're giving people, the breathing that we're giving people, the movement. So many people can barely move, like they can barely bend their knees. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but if we can teach them breath or connecting to some part of themselves that feels inspired, it's really a beautiful practice. Whether you call it a workout, whether you call it swimming in the ocean or yoga, it's all the same to me. But it's just it's so cool that you brought that up about family, and I hope that our viewers and listeners really can kind of reflect on their own life and thinking about, I don't have any teachers, I don't have any mentors. Like, think about pivotal moments in your life that have caused you to change path for the better or the worse. Like, they're those people. They're teaching you what to do or what not to do. Thank you, Rayne. And for ways that you're continuing to learn and develop, what resources are you using at the moment? Are you a book girl, a podcast girl, or all of the above?
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like, as a mom, I'm really time poor, and reading a book, I have a pile of books that are just sitting, and I think I'm thinking maybe osmosis, that's how they'll get in. No,
I'm pillow. Apparently that works.
Yeah, I've tried it all, babe, don't worry. I've done recordings, everything. To be honest, this lockdown has been a gift, and it's also brought in an imbalance in me, this craving of knowledge, because I'm fueled by unworthiness of being in a tradition. So I've done so much training, so many online with Yoga Rupa. Like I've said, I've done so many trainings. I can't even tell you how many trainings I've done during this lockdown. It's been a gift, but it showed me my sense of it's being pulled from something. So I'm actually trying to pull back from learning and just sitting with what I know and know it, embody it deeply. So yoga nidra, which is a very passionate area for me, it's part of my dharma, and I have put music and sound with it, which is, Yoga Rupa doesn't love it. I'm going to tell you, he doesn't love that I've done that, but I've also done silent one for the tradition, doing my own thing, going my own way, but honoring the tradition for Yoga Rupa and myself, because I want to do the right thing, because silence is the goal of nidra. So that is important. That I do a lot of yoga nidra. I do a lot of my sadhana is just my mantra, and it's really simple. I might just do a little Agnisara just to move myself if I need to, but otherwise it's outside with me. It's outside. I just need to get outside, go for a walk the dog, walk with my kids in nature. And just try and rest, actually. So for me, it's, study never ends. I'm always studying. I'm a big nerd, but the pit in me needs to stop.
Babe, I'm the same. And I think, again, this is the reason of connecting, of looking to people who are a bit ahead of the curve of me, of like, that's where I want to be. They're the qualities that I want to embody, and seeing yourself and drawing all of the parallels, being so driven. My physical practice is basically Uddiyana Bandha and Agnisara, if anything, but it's all functional movement. It's a walk on the beach. It's my walk to work, or a walk to the shops to get things. So it's not so mental, I have to do this, and if I don't do it in this time frame or this long, I'll beat myself up. It's like actually about sitting. I love music. I know that silence is the key, and I need to practice that more. But I think for meeting myself where I'm at, and probably you and your clients and all of that kind of thing, music has a way of moving something in me, and it actually stills me, despite it maybe like not researched or technically like, no, but your brain will still be doing all sorts of things. It's like, no, I actually feel like I can come to a focus point either in my meditation, and the only other way that my mind completely just goes like happy and free is when I'm swimming in the ocean. That is like that, and music.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, totally. And I agree. And I think you're not alone. And that's why that was my argument, is tradition says, why sound? You're not additive, you're subtractive if you add sound to something that's supposed to be towards silence. And I say, well, most people aren't yogis and aren't comfortable in silence. So we need to draw them from where they are to pull them to where they need to go. And the reality is most of us are too noisy. So, and sound is a gift, you know, and we're frequency. And so, you know, Swami Rama put out a frequency sound that's on Spotify. And when I saw that, I said, thank you for my permission.
Well, 100% too, because if from the beginning someone told me I had to have a home practice and that was the only way, I don't think I ever would have, I don't know. I feel like it's in my path to be understanding and learning yoga and embodying it, but I don't know if I would have stuck with it from the beginning. So like we talk about with anyone, we have to meet them where they're at. We can't just be like, well, go on, sit down, just go do some yoga nidra. And it's like, what a hoo-ha, like, huh? I
Exactly.
can't, like, it's like, yeah, we need to move the body. And like they say, it's like, if we add philosophy into our movement, regardless of whether it's dance or whether it's, you know, technically a yoga pose, I don't care. That to me is yoga. And it's like, you know, if we're embodying the qualities that we're wanting to pass on to them, of if we get them from coming in really like Rajasic and like, oh, I can't settle my mind, if we can meet them there and go, we're going to move, but then towards the end of the class, they've built that trust and the rapport with you of like, I'm trusting where they're taking me. And then when we get them to be still, they can see that you're obviously a very calm person and have all of these things. It's like, well, if she can do it, then I can probably get there. And the more that you tell your story or tell where you've come from, or the days that you feel like hectic and like you need to move your body, you're going to draw those people in to trust you and to want to learn more. So I don't see a problem with music. And I think because it's such a noisy society these days, we're not living in caves and mountains, and we can definitely do retreats and go for walks to get that peace of mind, but it's very unfamiliar territory to people to be silent. So that has to be a trust that is developed between the practitioner and the student to really get them to understand the importance of silence. But it's definitely not where I meet a lot of people at.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, that's that the one thing that someone said to me that actually checked me on silence, right? Because I'm pretty comfortable in silence. I'm really comfortable in my own company. I dig it. I love it. But I know most people aren't. And actually someone said, you know, sometimes people silence was used as a power tool. You know, it's used to manipulate, it's to torture people in silence. You know, it's like a child not spoken to, they're left in a silent room, close the door. Silence doesn't become a safe haven depending on their perspective, you know? So that kind of lit me up into a different way of looking at silence for probably a lot more people than we realize, because that's so true, right? It's like, go to your room.
And it's the
like
silence.
It should be like, yes, I'm going to my room.
Exactly. You and I are like, fuck yeah, like let's go to our room. I've got my harmonium, I got books, give me some time out in the corner. But yes, like you're so right in, it's kind of like sleep. We're not really told how important it is, but it's like silence, or it's the pause in a song, or when you don't have something, you realize how important it is or how valuable it is.
How full it is.
Yeah, how full. That's such a cool word of kind of like the space in between. And I love teaching that, like between, you know, subject and object, and you get all of this stuff. It's like there's nothing there, but there's everything there. And I think that's what is in silence. And it's a really beautiful practice to have. But when we think of stuff like, if it's been associated to being neglected or ignored, we know that people don't respond to that. Even like those, I know you would have read these already, girl, like those water books where they put like water or rice or something that they speak to it and they speak gratitude to it, or the rice jar that's ignored or whatever. And there's all of these different molecular structures that come from even like the way you talk to water, or the way you talk to rice. And it's like, I know I sound like a crazy hippie, but it's like, it's true. If we neglect dogs, animals, nature, the same thing happens. So when you find someone graceful in silence, that's when you know it's a really healthy version of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, girl. Well, I reckon we're going to wrap this up, and I so look forward to chatting more with you, just in terms of everything. But for people to get in contact with you, let them know where you're living at the moment, if you want to share that, so they can find if you're practicing outside of your home, if you're in an office, but also like your social media. I'll include it in the show notes anyway, but you just speak to the best place that they can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I mean, Yogini Rayne is my yogi handle. I'm also Rayne Osteo. I'm also Wisdom Whispers to Me. I have a lot of different handles. Even my dog has one, Walter the Wiener dog, if you want to know. He's amazing. He's just a star.
That'll be the only one
I work out of yeah, do it. I love it. He's surpassed me as an osteopath, his followers anyway. He's only 7 months old. I love that. It's so great. I work in Hampton, Victoria at Sports and Spinal Group as an osteopath. I also teach at Warrior One Yoga. I teach a lot of Yin and Nidra, Passionaria, and Fundamentals, which is just Hatha in disguise. And I'm also at Updog doing a moon flow. I do a lot of moon stability practices there on Fridays, and I'm also doing a vinyasa class there as well. So trying to get out there, and I'm also on Form Yoga, an online on-demand platform. Form Yoga is something that we're trying to create an inclusive platform, include more inclusive than most platforms are. So that is the goal. It's Australian made, and it's very in its infancy, but I do live Sunday Yin and Nidras there as well. So yeah, we're online, on demand, and live every week. So lots of different ways, really.
I love that. Yes. Moving forward as well, I'm hosting a live summit with my sister, who's talking all about like leadership and creating this calmness between dog and human. And then her partner is Josh, and he does wealth and investing. And then I've got another friend who's doing health and fitness and talking all about nutrition. But essentially each week we get to talk about our passion and our interests, and then moving forward they will kind of be filtered into who they want to be drawn into. So if it's something you're interested in, I would love to draw you in to do some practices with my students, and have you like paid for that, and we'll sort out all of that kind of stuff. But I love it when I can get people who have practiced from a similar background, that I know that your practices will incorporate the knowledge that I'm actually teaching them.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Cool.
Let's talk.
Yes, let's do it, girl.
We'll do it.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming on board, and I've loved our chat.
Absolute pleasure, treasure.
Yeah.
You're amazing. You keep up the good work. Pleasure.
And we shall chat very soon, my girl, and just pass over all of those details, and I'll pop them in the show notes, and I'll be getting this out as soon as possible. So for all my listeners and viewers, I've tried to like mix up with having some sort of regular schedule of putting things out, but I also get impatient and just want to put out all the good content just as I do it. So this will probably be uploaded this afternoon.
No problem.
Yes, and we shall chat very soon, girl. Have the most beautiful afternoon. Namaste, beautiful soul.
Namaste. Mwah.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.